He laughed when I cried after my dad died. Called me the weird one with daddy issues. Years later, I held his resume in my hands. This time, he wasn't smiling. Let me take you back to when I was 13. My dad had just died, lung cancer. Fast and brutal. 1 month he was cracking bad jokes with me over burnt pancakes. A few weeks later, I was staring at a hospice bed wondering if that hollow body was really him. Grief is weird. It doesn't hit you like a truck. It seeps in, slow, like mold in the corners of your life. I barely spoke for months. I drew. I journaled. I stopped trying to talk to people at school because they either looked at me with pity or pretended I didn't exist. Enter my stepbrother, Ryan. My mom remarried when I was 14. Ryan was her new husband's golden boy. 2 years older than me, all charm, all teeth. Think, varsity soccer captain, honor roll, flirted with every girl in earshot. And somehow, everyone loved him. Teachers, coaches, even my mom. Except me. Because behind closed doors, Ryan was a manipulative, passive-aggressive prick. The first time he mocked me, it was subtle. I was sketching in my room, just trying to be away, and he walked by and said, "Still doing that emo art thing? Man, you've got some real daddy issues." Then he laughed like it was just a joke. I didn't even flinch. I was used to being dismissed. But it got worse. He started telling people at school that I was the weird one. That I'd had a breakdown. That I was damaged goods. I found out later he told one girl I had emotional problems and to be careful around me. The worst part, people believed him. Because Ryan was so nice, so cool. And me? I was quiet. I didn't party. I kept my pain locked up in sketchbooks and essays no one read. I kept my head down through high school. Graduated. Went to college on a scholarship. Ryan, of course, went to a private business school my stepdad paid for. While I was working part-time at a bookstore and skipping meals, he was posting pics in front of sports cars and palm trees. My mom barely called. She was too busy going on cruises with her new husband. I faded from that side of the family like a stain they didn't want on the carpet. But that was fine. Because I learned to focus. Not on revenge. Not yet. Just on getting better. I studied psychology and organizational behavior. Irony, right? The broken kid learning how people work. I went to grad school. Got a couple of internships. I worked hard, stayed quiet, and got really good at spotting people like Ryan, the ones who wear charm like a mask and rot everything they touch. Fast forward a few years. I'm 28 now. Quietly successful. I don't post much. No big social media presence. But I'd worked my way into a consulting firm that specialized in corporate culture audits, basically figuring out which execs were full of shit and which teams were toxic. We worked with huge companies. Quietly, efficiently, and with total discretion. That's why I almost choked on my coffee the day I opened a folder and saw Ryan's name on a resume. It had been years since I'd heard his voice. But I remembered every insult, every smirk, every whispered story he spread to make sure I stayed the broken one. And now, here he was, applying for a senior operations manager role at one of our client companies. The hiring team had flagged his resume for inconsistencies and possible culture fit issues. My job? Vet his background. Assess his psychological profile based on structured interviews. Recommend hire or reject. I stared at the folder for a long time. Not because I didn't know what to do, but because it felt right. Like the universe had quietly handed me the steering wheel after years in the back seat. I didn't rush. I did what I always do. I worked the process. First, I reviewed his resume line by line. He'd exaggerated several roles, downplayed a few job gaps, and listed a team leadership certification from a course that hadn't existed for 3 years. Then, I ran a background check. Quietly, legally. Nothing criminal, but several HR contacts flagged him as charismatic but divisive. One called him a ladder climber who steps on people. Another mentioned a harassment warning that didn't go on record, but was noted in internal files. Finally, the interview. I didn't sit in right away. One of our junior analysts handled the initial conversation, and I watched through a one-way screen. Ryan walked in, confident, wearing that same fake smile. He looked older, hair thinning, jaw tighter, but still had the smugness of someone who thought the room owed him something. Midway through the interview, I stepped in. He looked up and froze. I introduced myself like I didn't know him, like we hadn't lived under the same roof while he made my life hell. "Good to see you again, Ryan," I said calmly, like I was remembering a classmate from long ago. His eyes flickered. He smiled awkwardly. "Oh, yeah, wow, long time." But the confidence was gone. Just like that. I asked him standard behavioral questions. He fumbled them. He overcompensated. He bragged. He slipped up and mentioned a team he'd led on a project I knew he'd only assisted with. I smiled politely, took notes. When it was over, I shook his hand. He was sweating. He knew. He knew I remembered everything. But I never brought it up. Never said a word about the past. Because I didn't need to. 2 days later, I submitted my assessment. Candidate presents notable red flags in integrity, leadership alignment, and conflict management. Not recommended for hire. That was it. He didn't get the job. The company didn't even give him a reason. Just a, "Thank you for your time." Weeks later, I heard through the grapevine that Ryan had been struggling to land any high-level positions. Burned too many bridges. Too many people remembered. And me. I kept working. Kept building. I don't need Ryan to fall apart. I don't need to watch him fail. Just knowing that the kid he mocked for being broken was the one who held the door shut when opportunity came knocking. That's enough. I didn't need to destroy him. I just needed him to see me. And no, I wasn't the joke anymore. I was the verdict. Edit. Wow, didn't expect this to blow up. For everyone dmang me. No, I don't feel guilty. People like Ryan don't learn from confrontation. They learn from silence. From seeing the consequences with no drama. Just a closed door and their own reflection staring back. I've poured my heart into this channel, and every single subscriber means the world. Help me reach 1K. Your support can truly make a difference.